I've been using this laptop for just a few minutes now, and I'm sure you've probably already figured out this isn't your typical notebook. It has a 10-inch e-ink display right on the back, or the front, depending on how you look at it, that's meant to help you get a little bit more done. So instead of having to open up your computer or whip out your phone, you can interface directly with the back of your laptop screen and talk to Alexa or check your calendar. But how well does this actually work? Well, let's take a closer look. I should point out right up front that there are a few things about this laptop that just aren't final yet. The software that drives this front display, not quite there. We're also not entirely sure of the price, although Lenovo says they're targeting somewhere around $1,200 to $1,300 when it launches the ThinkBook Plus this spring. And yeah, $1,300 for a machine as delightfully strange as this actually doesn't seem like that bad a deal. There's a pretty good chance that if you were looking for a decently spec'd laptop, you'd want to spend that much money anyway. This additional screen just gives you a little bit extra that might or might not fit into your life. On a very fundamental level, you're looking at a pretty solid series of specs. You can get up to a 10th generation Intel Core i7 chipset, either 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, either a 256 or a 512 gigabyte SSD. There is also a 13.3-inch display here with an anti-glare coating. This runs at Full HD, and while it's maybe not the sharpest display we've seen at CES 2020, it's perfectly fine for the price. I certainly don't mind it, but it's not the screen that you're going to find most interesting. It's really this thing, this monochrome e-ink display out front that is really designed to help you get a little bit more done without having to fire up anything else. And I have to tell you, the experience, it's pretty weird. Yes, you can use it to jot down notes and have them automatically saved into OneNote, and I have to say the sensitivity and the accuracy of using this stylus on this e-ink display, actually pretty great. I could see myself doing this on a pretty consistent basis. Other things don't make quite as much sense. You can, for example, use the Kindle app on this external display, which would be great if Lenovo had sort of tweaked it to sort of run more like a Kindle. You can't just tap the edge of the page for the page to change. It's basically just running the full Windows Kindle app landscape on this display, which feels a little inelegant. That's the kind of thing that could theoretically be fixed in software, so it's maybe not a huge drawback, but it is one of those weird little facets that make you really wonder if something like this is worth it for you. There is also, I should point out, Alexa support built in. There are a handful of far-field microphones that can pick up voices within about 4 meters, and you can talk to Alexa and have this more or less function like a traditional Amazon Smart display. For better or worse, the experience we've seen so far in this doesn't seem to be quite done. There's no audio feedback when you talk to Alexa, so you'll get, for example, the weather window pop up when you ask for it, but you don't actually hear it say anything. As much as I like the sheer oddness that has gone into crafting a machine like this, it's not always the easiest thing to use. I, for example, have just opened up the Alexa app on this external screen, and I don't know how to get back to the main screen where all my stuff is. It's not quite as elegant or as obvious as it should be. But again, that's partially due to the fact that this isn't completely done yet, and this is the kind of thing that could be fixed over time. Now, a couple more things I should point out about this display. You can very quickly open your calendars and see what you have coming up next, which is genuinely helpful. And when you have it open in front of somebody at a coffee shop while you're working on the main keyboard and display, this touch panel is not active. So no one can reach across the table and figure out where you're going to be next, which is great because I've been watching you and I don't want anyone to know anything about me ever. So ultimately, is this the right laptop for you? Well, it's too early to say for now. We are at least a couple months off from this thing's launch, but I will say that I appreciate Lenovo just kind of throwing caution to the wind and saying, you know what, let's do something weird. This kind of builds off of what we did with the Yoga Book, and maybe it'll work for you and maybe it doesn't, but at the end of the day, it is just the kind of weird I like to see at CES because it shows that these companies are willing to push envelopes and maybe at some point down the road give us experiences we didn't even know we wanted. In any case, thank you for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for more of our coverage from CES 2020 here on Engadget.